It's close to midnight, the house is finally still, backpacks are lined up near the door, the kitchen light is off. The last cup in the sink has been washed and turned upside down to dry. Your child is asleep, and now there is silence. You sit on the edge of your bed, staring at nothing in particular, and suddenly, your eyes fill. Nothing dramatic happened today. No emergency. No screaming fight. No catastrophe, but your chest feels tight. Your shoulders ache in a way that has nothing to do with posture. It's as if your body has been bracing for impact all day, and only now realizes it can loosen its grip. People call you strong. They say you're amazing, resilient, a superhero. Sometimes they lower their voices and call you a single mom, as if the word carries both admiration and quiet judgment at the same time. What they don't see is the invisible weight you carry from the moment you wake up, because when you are the only adult responsible, there is no backup plan. If you get sick, there is no shift change. If you fall apart, the whole system trembles, so your nervous system adapts. It doesn't fully rest. It doesn't fully switch off. It stays alert in the background, scanning for what could go wrong next. Not because you are anxious by nature, but because the cost of missing something feels too high. Psychologists call this chronic stress load. The slow wear and tear that builds when responsibility has no relief valve. Those tears at midnight are not weakness, they are pressure releasing. You are not crying because you are fragile, you are crying because you have been holding too much, for too long, without anyone holding you. Most people imagine that becoming a single mother begins with one explosive moment. One betrayal, one dramatic exit, but in reality, it is often quieter than that. It is a gradual erosion. It's months or years of feeling alone while standing next to someone. It's carrying the planning, the emotional labor, the anticipation of everyone's needs, and slowly realizing you are already parenting by yourself inside a two-adult household. There is a specific kind of mental tension that lives there. I want my child to grow up in a two-parent home. But also, I cannot keep dissolving myself to maintain this. That tension can last a long time. You begin watching your child during arguments, listening to the tone of the room, wondering silently whether staying is more damaging than leaving. When a woman finally chooses to leave, it is rarely impulsive. It is what trauma specialists describe as a protective decision. A point where the body decides that remaining costs more than departing. It is not the destruction of a family, it is often an attempt to rebuild one on healthier ground. But when the paperwork is signed and the titles change, something deeper shifts. One day you are a partner, a wife, part of a we. The next day, you are not. There is no ceremony for that transformation. No ritual to guide you through the identity shift. Being a wife is not only a legal status, it shapes how you see yourself in the world. It carries the quiet reassurance of being chosen, accompanied, building alongside someone. When that structure disappears, many women experience what feels like an internal collapse. You are still a mother, but who are you outside of that? In the silence after bedtime, a question may rise that feels almost forbidden. If I am no longer someone's partner, who am I now? This is not vanity. It is a human need to exist in more than one role. The transition into single motherhood is not just logistical. It is existential. It requires rebuilding a sense of self that is no longer organized around us, but must learn to stand again as I. From the outside, you look composed. You manage schedules, school emails, doctor appointments, finances, bedtime routines. You respond to crises calmly. You solve problems quickly. People assume you are handling it. What they cannot see is the internal cost of constant readiness. When you are the sole regulator of a household, your brain adapts to vigilance. It learns that it must anticipate risk before it arrives. Neuroscience describes this state as hypervigilance. A nervous system that remains partially activated, even at rest. Over time, this creates accumulated strain. Decision fatigue increases, patience shortens, emotional reserves thin out, which is why you can handle serious emergencies without breaking, yet feel overwhelmed by something small. A spilled drink, a missing shoe, a forgotten permission slip. It isn't about the event, it's about depletion. Strength becomes a double-edged sword. The very endurance that keeps everything functioning also prevents you from softening. After enough time in survival mode, something else can develop, a fierce independence. On the surface, it looks empowering. I can do this alone. And you can. You've proven it. But psychologically, this intense self-reliance can also be a protective adaptation. When trust has been broken, the brain rewrites its rules. Depending feels dangerous. Needing feels risky. So control becomes safety. you may find yourself scanning new people for flaws, pulling back when someone gets too close, declining help even when exhausted. It isn't that you don't want connection, it's that connection now carries memory. Hyperindependence is longing guarded by armor. In quiet moments, you may still wish someone would say, "I've got tonight." Rest. But when that possibility appears, your body hesitates. What if it disappears again? What if stability collapses? So you choose predictability over vulnerability. The world praises this as strength, but its cost can be isolation. There is another layer of loneliness that few people recognize. You are rarely physically alone. A child is always near, always needing, always loving, but adult intimacy is different. It is the shared glance in a crowded room, the hand on your back in the kitchen, the comfort of being emotionally witnessed by another adult who knows you as more than mom. Children love deeply, but they cannot co-regulate you in the same way. They cannot carry your fears, so you adapt. You focus on tasks, on routines, on keeping life steady. Yet at night, when the house is quiet, the body remembers the absence of being held. This is not weakness, it is attachment biology. Humans are wired for mutual support, for shared nervous system regulation. Missing that does not make you ungrateful, it makes you human. Guilt also tends to settle in. Guilt for working too much, guilt for not working enough, guilt for the home that didn't stay intact, guilt for the version of childhood you once imagined. And beneath that guilt, often hidden, is anger at imbalance, at abandonment, at carrying more than your share. But culturally, mothers are rarely permitted anger, so it turns inward. It becomes self-blame. I should have tried harder. I should have chosen differently. Healthy anger identifies unfairness. Unexpressed anger becomes shame. Many single mothers carry both grief and fury at once. Acknowledging that does not mean living in the past. It means recognizing that something meaningful was lost, and the burden was uneven. Then comes a quieter question: am I still desirable? Outside of marriage, without the assumed security of being chosen, many women begin to question their worth. Your body carries history now. Pregnancy, birth, fatigue, survival. Your schedule revolves around children. In a culture that often celebrates youth and freedom, it is easy to wonder whether you still fit the image of romantic possibility. These fears are not shallow, they are rooted in attachment rupture. When a partner leaves, the brain can encode it as evidence. I was not enough to stay for. Dating then becomes more than personal risk, it becomes systemic. You are not only opening your heart, you are potentially inviting someone into your child's world. That raises the stakes. What if my child bonds and then loses them? What if I misjudge again? This heightened caution is understandable. You worked hard to rebuild stability. Of course you guard it. But survival mode was never meant to become your identity. It carried you through rupture. It helped you rebuild. It kept the lights on and the routine steady. But you are allowed to expand beyond it. Healing does not mean abandoning strength. It means letting your nervous system learn that not everything rests on you alone. It means allowing small doses of help, letting your identity include not only mother, but woman again, resting, desiring, choosing. You are not only the person who endured. You are someone still capable of receiving, still capable of love, still worthy of being held. And if you have survived this season, that is not a small thing. It is evidence of depth, not deficiency. You are not alone in this experience, and your strength was never meant to be the end of your story.